Today I'm going to show you how I took my empty basement and turned it into a super efficient and versatile content production space. By watching this, I hope it sparks some creative ideas about what you can do with your own area, no matter how big or small. The studio lets me record talking head videos from practically unlimited angles, get overhead product shots, use a virtual set like you see on productions like The Mandalorian, edit videos, live stream, store gear, and even just hang out with the family. In this video, I'll break down how I managed to fit all of this into a relatively small space and all the tips and tricks I use to make this the most versatile workspace I could create. I'll also leave links to all the gear and tools I mentioned down in the video description in case you see something that could work in your own space. All right, let's jump into it. When my wife and I bought this house in 2019, this was just an empty basement. I had a blank canvas, but I was still locked into the existing floor plan. To make the most of it, I decided to split the room into a few different zones. The first and biggest space would be right here. I wanted this area to be multifaceted. At times, it needed to function as a shooting area, complete with a paper seamless backdrop and a virtual backdrop, so my wife and I could use it for both photos and videos. The second area I mapped out was my computer desk and editing setup. Moving to the opposite wall, I planned a space for a bookshelf and a writing desk. And finally, the fourth zone, the storage closet. Not the most glamorous to everyone, but it's probably one of the most important areas of the whole area. Before I could build out any of the spaces, I had to start with the basics. I tore down the old drop ceiling, epoxied the concrete floor, sheetrocked the walls, and painted everything, including the ceiling.
You excited?
Yeah, I can't wait for this to be done.
Once that was done, I could finally start going space by space and bringing each part of the vision to life. So let's dive into the first and biggest zone, the shooting area. My goal here was to create a system that could disappear when I wasn't filming, but be fully ready to go when I needed it. Here's what it looks like in casual mode. The couch is on wheels with a quick release system, so one person can easily move it around.
And you can see how perfectly it fits. There's the edge of the heater.
The rug can be rolled up and stored off to the side, giving me a much larger footprint for filming. To maximize flexibility, I customized this backdrop holder and mounted it as far out of the way as possible. It holds two paper seamless rolls and it can be tucked away when not in use, but quickly accessed when I need them. If a plain backdrop isn't cutting it, no problem. I can roll up the paper and use the short throw projector mounted in the ceiling to project virtually a limitless number of backdrops instead. For lighting, I installed a ceiling mounted track that spans the front of the room with a 300 watt GVM light permanently mounted for quick setup. I'm still figuring out the best way to expand the lighting grid system, so for now, if I need additional lights, I just bring out the light stands. Another great thing about this space is if you turn 90 degrees, you get an entirely different look with these wood slat walls. These removable walls cover the water tanks, turning what used to be an eyesore into a clean, professional looking backdrop. It's not the absolute easiest thing to move when I need to access the tanks or filtration system, but it's manageable, and I don't need to do it very often. Originally, I was going to install doors here, but I didn't love the idea of it looking like a utility closet. With the wood slat walls, you never know there was anything hidden behind them, and because I mounted everything using a French cleat system, it's easy enough to take on and off when needed. The projector inputs are occupied by an Amazon Fire Stick for movies, a Nintendo Switch for games, and a final output that connects directly to my computer at the desk so I can use the projector as another monitor. This setup has been really handy, especially when I'm collaborating on an edit, as it allows a work partner the ability to see the edit without standing over my shoulder at my computer desk. Speaking of the desk area, let's jump over there and check it out. At the heart of this space is this butcher block countertop, something I cut and glued together myself. I paired it with the electric standing desk legs here. Again, all links are in the description. The monitor is technically an OLED TV. It's the 48-inch LG C1. At the time, it was the smallest OLED TV LG made in the line. Switching from an LCD to an OLED screen was a game changer for me. At the time, there weren't many OLED monitors, so I went with this TV, and it turned out to be one of the best gear decisions I've made. It's 4K OLED and has a 120 Hz refresh rate. The OLED makes it amazing for content creation, and the 120 Hz is fantastic if you want to game. Because I value my desk space and I wanted to be able to move the monitor up and down, I mounted it to the wall using this Ergotron vertical TV mount. So now when I want to stand, I just lift the TV and it stays in place. All the wires are run through the wall, so everything stays nice and clean. To the right of the main monitor is the Elgato prompter, sitting in front of either my Sony a7C or my old original Blackmagic cinema camera. It's great for virtual calls or live streams because it lets me look directly at the person on the other end or speak directly to camera while still seeing who I'm talking to. The monitor to the right of that is just an old BenQ monitor that I had laying around. I flipped it vertically, so it's super handy when I'm editing. I can put all my clips there and free up more space on the main timeline. It's also great for running OBS or other windows while I'm streaming. On the desk itself, I've built a few things. First, I wanted a desk shelf, but the ones I saw online were like crazy expensive, so I used some scrap wood left over from the butcher block and some spare trim from the stair renovation that I did, and it cost me nothing, and I think it came out pretty good. The next thing I made was this headphone stand. I found a photo on Pinterest that I liked and reverse engineered it. It works well for what I need, and again, made from scrap, so no extra cost. Rounding out the desk, I got the Beacon mic paired with the Beacon mic Create. The light bar is the BenQ Halo screen bar, and the card reader is the Kingston workflow station, which allows me to dump multiple cards at once. My computer chair is actually a Recaro seat from a Ford Focus ST. I've got a whole video on this, so if that's something you're interested in, I'll link it somewhere here. Finally, the PC itself is wall mounted using the Thermaltake Core P3 case. Cable management is a little bit more involved when you start mounting things on the wall, so it's not perfect, but I'm constantly swapping parts and gear in and out, so it works for me. Let's quickly touch on the storage closet. Not the most glamorous part, like I said before, but easily one of the most important. I made this wood slat sliding door to match the other wall from the other side, trying to keep everything consistent with the overall aesthetic. Inside, I left it unfinished to make the most of every inch of space. It might not seem like a huge deal, but in a small room, those extra inches really count. I bumped the wall out to go around the lolly column and used that nook to store light stands and C-stands. Next to that is my charging wall. It powers everything from my Sony, Canon, and V-mount batteries to these Amaran tube lights and more. In the back, I've got these IKEA Alex drawers that I've repurposed from my old desk setup. They fit perfectly under the stairs and store extra computer, video, audio, and power cables, as well as my drone, other gear, bits and bobs, that kind of stuff. Sitting on top of the drawers is my Synology NAS, which lets me store a ton of video and even edit directly off of it, remotely or locally. And I stuffed additional grip and lighting gear wherever I could find the space. Moving on to the last area, the bookcase and writing desk. Unlike the storage area, this space needed to be functional and look good. The shelves that aren't filled with books are used to display some of my favorite gear and knickknacks and that kind of thing. Down here is where I store my Arri Alexa Classic when it's not in use. On the other side, I keep most of my lights. The bottom shelf has the Aperture 1200X, and the other cases are various GVM lights, including the GVM 650, I believe. One thing you won't find here is technology. The idea was to keep the space distraction-free for writing. And believe it or not, this typewriter isn't just for show. I do actually use it from time to time. Like everything else in the room, it has its place and its purpose. To the right of the bookcase, I've got more storage and a framed movie poster from one of my own projects. I even mounted my POV helmet up here in the ceiling to save some space.
Good work today, boys. Way to battle. Let's do it again tomorrow, boys. Family on 3! 1, 2, 3! Family!
And finally, to round out this room, this side features a ceiling-mounted grid system that lets me hang lights or grip gear and move them around without tripping over cables or wires. It makes everything so much more efficient. Well, that's the full tour. This is where I work, create, record, write, edit, and sometimes just hang out. Like most things, it didn't come together overnight, and that's okay. I added, I adjusted, and adapted over time. If you're working on your own setup, take your time. Don't be afraid to tweak things as you go. If you saw anything you liked, again, I've linked all the gear and tools down in the description below. I didn't want this video to be too long, and I know I covered a lot, so if you have any questions or want to know more about a specific part of the setup, drop a comment. I literally read every single one and respond to every single one. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace. Oh, who's your good puppy? You're a good girl. Okay, bye.